In today's video, is it the end of the road for our milling machine? We might need a new machine, mate. We remove the cylinder head off this BDA rally engine.
Ooh.
And why is it never simple with these modern engines? Great. Well, mate, Figaro on the milling machine, just finished facing it, and it's cleaned up with a nice 10 thou cut overall.
Nice.
Fine with these, they do sort of sink down in the middle because it's a sort of, I suppose it's a semi-open deck, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got about 3 inches of the top here where all this is open, no support.
So it's not supported by the block.
No, and you find they do get a bit warm, these things, evidently, by the state of the block face, and the centre sort of sinks down like that.
Which obviously causes the gasket not to seal properly.
Exactly. I like the way, do you know what I like? I like the way, whenever we do a video, I say something and then you make it sound better. Or correct me in my wording. I like that.
Add something. Just add something.
Just add something. Make it a bit clearer for everyone, don't you? So, basically, when you start facing this, you normally find in here, and particularly sort of in between the pots, you'll find it doesn't clean up, and that means the thing has just sort of sank in like that.
Yeah, and you need 2 flat faces for the gasket to seal properly.
You do indeed.
Any sort of variation could cause it to blow.
Well done, mate. You've done it again. Thank you very much.
That's all right, mate.
So, especially with the modern gaskets, some of the old, well, they still do them, but some of the old gaskets, like the fibre type gaskets, there's a lot more give in it. So, back in the day, it was very unheard of that you had to face a block face.
Yeah.
Usually you'd go, if it did a head gasket, you would face the cylinder head face as a matter of course, because the head's off. Obviously the bottom end of the engine is still in the vehicle, but because of the forgiveness in that fibre gasket, you wouldn't have to face the block. But these days, because of the multi-layer steel gaskets that go in between the block and the head, you need 2 flat faces.
Yeah, they've got to be perfect.
Yeah, so you're finding more and more these days that if the head gasket goes, you've got to face the block as well as the head. The only problem is with that is it's a major job. It's one thing taking the head off the vehicle with the engine in. Obviously, you've got the gearbox strapped to the bottom end and various everything else. You've got to completely strip the bottom end to face the block, so it's a big
because obviously you can't have any of, well, all this swarf and stuff that gets flung around. You can't have any of that sat in the bores.
No,
or going
all the
down
pistons,
the side of the
rods,
piston or anything. So
crank, everything's got to come out. So from our end, it's the same price as doing the cylinder head, the machining wise, but it's a major job for the mechanic.
Lots of labour.
Yeah. So it's, you know, a lot of the time if head gasket goes now, especially on the diesel stuff with the steel gaskets, it's right in the vehicle off.
It is a lot of the time, yeah.
So that's that, mate. We've got a nice flat face on there. But just as I finished my second cut on this block and got it finished, the machine's decided to pack up. And that is not good, mate.
No.
Is it? So we've been having problems with this for probably 3 or 4 weeks now, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I've never had this thing completely to bits, although I have had these covers off, and there seems to be a series of clutches in here.
Yeah.
The way to engage these clutches usually is to pull this lever up, and that, I think, sort of, you've got a clutch pack, individual clutch packs here. First of all, the rapid feed packed up, so I suspect that you've got one main clutch area that sort of works all of them. But the rapid feed packed up, and now the normal feed is not great.
No.
We've found over the last 3 weeks that we've had to speed it up a bit to get it to travel all the way through, but now it seems to give up the ghost. So it looks like we might need a new machine, mate. So we've got it's either a new machine here or we take this thing to bits, innit?
Yeah.
And see what's going on, whether we can repair the clutch.
Which is, well, being the age of the machine, it's old, they don't do the bits anymore.
No.
I expect anyway, so it might be that we take it apart and then can't get the bits to go back together.
I mean, I'm guessing at the moment that is the setup in there, but I've never really seen it, so I haven't got a clue, to be honest with you.
It's been reliable as anything up till recently, hasn't it?
Well, it has, yeah. Only ever had one problem with this years ago. The screw gear that brings the whole series of beds up and down jammed up, and I had to get the thing to bits. And we bear in mind, this here weighs half a ton. This here weighs up about half a ton. So these beds here together weigh about a ton.
So there's
probably a bit over that, I would say.
There's not a lot you can do.
No, so you need to be very careful.
Like you can take it off or mess around too much. You're crushing yourself. But
so I think what I might do, mate, in the next few days, we try and get these covers off, have a little look visually, see if we can see what setup it is.
But it's a pretty vital machine to us, really, isn't it? So
it's a very vital machine.
We need to do something about it pretty quickly.
We do.
Luckily, we do have the grinder over there, which
we've got the grinder, which has got a tip cutter in it, so we can cut aluminium heads. It's just a bit more of a palaver on there.
Yeah, it is.
To be honest, we're using this thing day in, day out, aren't we? So it's very important.
Yeah.
So we need to either get this thing sorted out, mate, or replace it.
Yeah.
And that ain't going to be cheap. So, mate, we are removing the cylinder head.
Yeah, removing the cylinder head on the BDA. I've taken everything off of the outside of the engine, sort of all the ancillaries, sump. This is a dry sump, so the oil pump sits on the side there.
Yeah.
But got all that off. So now just undoing the head. You'll notice I'm going round in a sort of...
So is there a particular sequence then you use, mate, to...
Well, I mean, it's not as vital as when you're doing it up, but I typically tend to start in the middle, go round like that, or similar. And,
so just to ensuring that it comes off evenly and not sort of cockeyed there.
Yeah, because if you, in some cases, on some stuff, they say that if you, say you undid all of these four all the way, undid all of them, left the other side tightened up, it could warp the head. So just it's just good practice, really.
Yeah.
Just undo them all nice and evenly. For some reason, got a different nut there.
Well, that's a bit weird.
So I'm going to have to find the correct socket for that quickly.
Is that because of it? Is that because it's the design of it? Like it looks.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah,
because
it's
weird,
not on that raised platform.
Bit of an afterthought, that.
Yeah, a bit weird.
So on top of this cylinder head, normally there's a camshaft carrier. So there's a carrier that actually holds the camshafts, and there you can see it there. Look, so it's a little bit like that Transit that we did, wasn't it? The 2-litre Transit.
Yeah, a little bit actually. Yeah.
So the cams are inserted into there, and then that sits on top of the cylinder head. It makes it probably quite a lot easier doing the clearances like that way. I don't know.
I expect so, yeah.
I can't remember the last time I've done the clearances on one of these. So yeah, first of all, you've got the sequence of undoing the bolts.
Yeah.
To do them up, you would do them, start from the middle usually on a 4-cylinder or a 10-bolt, and sort of do them diagonally like this, ensuring that if you've got on the final process, if it's going from a torque to an angle, we always check the torque in the centre ones, don't we? Because it can sort of, once you've done the outside, it can loosen the
I
centres.
normally just go through 2 or 3 times anyway, until they've all sort of stayed the same and not needed any more doing up. So.
Yeah, sure. So just a little recap on this engine and why it's in here. This engine is out of a Heritage Rally Mark II Escort.
Right, yeah.
With some quite a lot of provenance, I think, and history. Don't know whether there's anything wrong with it. Supposedly not. He just wants it all sort of looking nice and basically working, making sure everything's all right, because it's been sitting for quite some time. So obviously it is going to be, I don't know whether he's going to do anything with the car, but the engine does need to be running.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to be doing is firing it up and there's some horrible debris or whatever you inside it. So
this is it's a BDA, which is a very famous rally engine.
It is, mate.
What sort of era is this? 70s, 80s?
So this is going to be 70s, really,
70s,
isn't it? I don't know whether they went as far back as the 60s, but they're certainly 70s. And for a 70s engine, the design is quite modern, really. It was,
it is, yeah.
The same as a little bit like the Alpha twin cams and stuff like that. They're all a bit ahead of their time, I would have thought.
Yeah,
really.
It does seem a bit, considering it's probably the same era as like those Lotus twin cams.
Yeah.
It seems a bit more definitely a bit more modernised, a bit more, almost a little bit more simple to get apart.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Which
you
is
can always
nice.
tell with this type of engine that it's sort of derived from a particular engine. So you've got like the cross flows, and all they do is Cosworth have designed a 16-valve cylinder head to go on top of it.
Yeah.
And then obviously from this, you've got the Pintos, which then Cosworth designed the 2-litre 16-valve head.
Which is where we are with the old
Same
Cossies.
sort of thing, isn't it? So, yeah.
But yes, this is the blocks, all aluminium on this, which is rare for those days, which is pretty cool.
And what are we expecting to see inside here, mate, when we take this head off?
Not too
Who
sure.
knows?
I'm expecting to see a blow-in gasket or a blow-in, you know,
Yeah.
dodgy head face or something. That off.
Here we go.
Ooh. What's going on in there? Ooh, looks all right, to be
What's
honest.
the head gasket made of? Is it a fibre type?
I don't know. It's like a
Very thin,
it's like
isn't
a
it?
single layer. It's metal. It's like
Yeah.
one side's.
I'm not sure whether this is an 1800 or a 2-litre. By looking at the bores, it looks a bit 2-litre-ish to me. Big old bore on it. You can see it's alley block. with
Actually
the
looks pretty good.
steel liner in there.
Yeah.
Doesn't look too bad. Just looks like
Weirdly,
it's been
though,
sat
that-
with a bit of water in.
That just was sort of loose like that. Normally they stick a bit, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Unless the head's already been off, but I don't know.
No.
So,
So
yeah.
nothing disastrous. The bores, they don't
Actually
seem,
looks quite good, doesn't it?
don't feel a lot of wear in there. It just looks like there's been a bit of moisture or water sitting in there. You can see it's corroded the bore, so we'll have to have a little look at that.
You can just feel that, actually.
If you can feel that, that's probably not great news because it means that obviously
Almost-
we're not going to be able to keep them pistons, or we'll have to do something with the liner side of it.
Yeah. See if I can turn it over. We've got a bolt in there. Here we go.
There we go, look. Yeah, you can see there where it's the rings have sort of been sticking and sitting in those bores. So the bores at first inspection don't look overly brilliant, do they, mate?
Well, it's going to be one of those, really. You've got to sort of see about that little corrosion mark and see what we reckon, but
Yeah.
they do look like they maybe had a bit of water in there.
So I suppose the next step for maybe another video, get it turned over,
Yeah.
get the pistons and rods out.
Yeah,
have
I've
a
got
look
the
at
sump
crank,
off
innit?
already, so we're pretty much ready to rock on that.
So this thing's about to go on the pallet, mate, isn't it? This is the 1500 Connect,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
a DD5 RC.
What's that? Renault?
1500 diesel. It's no, not
Is
not
it
Renault.
Ford's?
Explicitly not Renault. It's
Right.
Ford, Peugeot, Citroen.
Okay.
I think. Yes, it is.
For Moco on it, but
And the
used by many, I'd imagine.
all the badges there.
So what is this like in comparison to doing a 2-litre?
It's if you're talking wet belt, it's
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
If you're talking the old 2.2 Transit,
2.2, 2.4s, which we've
yeah,
done many of in the
they're
past.
brilliant. I love doing them.
Yeah. I think that looks, as far as a modern motor goes, that looks quite nice when it's all back together. But
Yeah, it's all right.
it's, I don't know, mate. It's all a bit of a throwaway sort of
Yeah,
society with this sort of stuff. Plastic sump.
I know.
I mean,
Bit-
that
bit
sounds
risky,
like
that.
looks like a recipe for oil leaks and
Yeah. Well, and melty sumps and all
melty
sorts.
sumps and crack sumps and dumping your oil everywhere, and
Yeah.
the too late light comes on. Basically, from a building it point of view, is it difficult?
Not bad to build, nightmare to get parts.
What's the problem with the parts?
Well, you can get the parts, but specifically gaskets.
So
You
when
see there,
so when I estimated at the beginning for the customer on the parts, the place where we got the parts from did an engine kit. So I was assuming that was all the parts for the engine.
yeah,
Most of the parts, except for a lot of the parts that you need, isn't it?
yeah,
The gaskets are an absolute nightmare because they come with quite a lot of the gaskets, not some of them, which are a bit hard to get, isn't it, mate?
yeah.
Great. So, 4 of which were these 4 seals that go for the injectors
Yeah.
underneath the cam carrier on top of
Yeah,
the
so
cylinder
they're
head.
basically at this join here between the head and the lower part of the cam carrier.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful with that because if someone had bought one of these in stripped, the locations where those seals go don't really look like proper
No, and
locations. You could
also-
easily be fooled that nothing goes in there at all.
Yeah, and also in the auto data, there's no, when you're sort of looking at the pattern for the sealant,
Yeah.
it doesn't mention it anywhere. There's no like obvious illustration that there's a seal that goes in there. So yeah, I imagine that probably could catch a few people out.
Yeah. So
Almost caught me out. But
so basically, this
you
type
pointed
of
it out,
motor
so-
here is best if you get it in a complete lump so you can strip it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's definitely best to log the location of everything
I was gonna say, it's
when
one
you're
of the-
taking it apart.
It's one of them ones that you want to take pictures of as you're stripping it,
Yeah.
because obviously there's a lot that goes, especially on this front side. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah.
Lots of little, like in behind here, there's a sort of plastic backing that goes in behind all the cam belt stuff, but it's only about 3 inches long.
Oh, okay.
And it's, you know, if you could easily forget that. Basically, it stops dust getting through the back of here
Oh, does it?
and into the cam belt area.
Oh,
basically.
blimey, mate. Oh, well, it's all getting a bit that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
The modern stuff. But in some respects, when it's all clean, the modern stuff is quite nice with the face-to-face fit of everything. It's quite nice to build,
Yeah.
just horrible to strip down. And
When I stripped it, I thought it was going to be horrible, but it was quite nice to build. It's just one of them ones you've got to pay attention to every little seal and all that sort of thing, because there's hidden stuff and
there
things
is
out of the
hidden
way.
stuff, and they use stuff which is clearly like an afterthought.
And also with the gasket side of things, you've got to sort of, well, if you're trying to find a certain gasket and you found something that nearly fits or looks like it should fit, but it don't quite fit, you sort of got to question yourself and go, well, is that it?
Yeah.
Or have they forgot to put it in? Or is it something that isn't in this kit? So
That's it, mate.
got
Just
to be a
something
bit
to
careful.
remember on all of this stuff.
But
Well,
yeah.
that's all pretty much done now. So that's coming off. It's going to go onto a pallet, ready for collection, go back to the customer.
Yeah.
And in its place on this engine stand, which I'm going to go into on another video, is the V8 Rover at the back there,
Down by
which
the
we're due
door.
to get the crank back. We've got to build the bottom end on that. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. Until another video, which should be Friday, we'll see you then. Cheers, guys.